Yo, Base Guru.
Welcome back.
My guy.
Welcome back.
Hey, Kel, don't you supposed to be educating the young minds and inspiring children's everywhere? We're playing to air for certain audiences? It shouldn't be. We're doing talk shows. I didn't mark anything. We did the tag? Weird. Unless the podcast starts a thing. I don't know. Very weird. I just checked to make sure I accidentally didn't check the box. And I didn't. Back in school. LP's out again. Yes, it's true. My wife had to go back to work today after being home with the ice. We still have ice in our yard. Our yard is still mostly ice. Is it supposed to last a week? Like, what is happening in our yard? Anyway. All right, I think we're gonna have to start. Welcome in, everybody. Happy Monday. It's been a weird week. We had ice week last week. It wasn't snow, but it was the ground was covered in ice, and we're staying home. Well, I stay home all the time because I don't go anywhere. But my wife was home from work, and you know my kid had a lot of fun outside. That GMO ice won't melt. It's true. Like, it's weird. It's lasting forever. But we're back to normal mostly this week. I'm going to try a little different format for the game news today. I didn't have a bunch of stuff prepared, and I was already running late. So we're just going to wing it. No, I have some big stuff to talk about. There's a major story for a game that if you're in the MMO scene or even adjacent, you'll know about this game. But this kind of blindsided me. Sent a screenshot. Yeah, thanks for sending me a screenshot. I'll look into it, but I don't know. Maybe it's something with the podcast and talk show tag now. It's just making it weird. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why it would have flagged anything. Just to be honest. It's very unusual. But thanks for watching wherever you're watching from. We're live on a ton of platforms this morning. And if you are lurking, thanks. Hit the subscribe button. If the app supports it, hit a like button, a bit button. I don't know. Whatever the buttons are, press them. Let's see what happens. This updated Twitch, now it looks all different. Are you on mobile? You might have the mobile feed. That might be why. It's a warning because it's mobile. There you go. That's the buttons I'm talking about. I need a gif of Mrs. Doubtfire running.
You know what they say? All toasters.
What have I done?
Toast.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh, shades on. That's what we needed. An ADHD kick up. Ah! Are we good now? Did we get it out of our system? My goodness. That doing's like a thing, maybe.
Look at all those chickens.
Nice. All right. Well, anyway, let's
Tough time never lasts. Only tough people last.
All right. We're gonna put it in news mode. Cut it out. The fun's over. Time to get serious, or at least a little sad. Oh no, we can't be running in the 90s. Lizard. Dang it, I forgot Lizard is one of the ones that bypasses the... It bypasses the thing. Every single time. It makes me mad because it just ignores the fact that it should be disabled. Now I've forgotten what I was trying to do. Playlist. You missed the fun. Oh no. Rocket, what's up, man? I'm done. Fun over. Hello, Fedora. Wow. Jenkins gonna cuss at me this morning. Jeez Louise. Who's trying to friend me? Look, okay. Anybody that sends me a friend request on Discord, I generally ignore it. Oh, it was Jenkins with the screenshot. It does say intended for certain audiences. Well, that's true. This show is intended for certain audiences. I'm not saying the game news that I run in the morning is for everyone. Everyone's welcome. You just might not enjoy it. That's all I'm saying. It just might not be as fun for some people. It's fun for me. I enjoy it. And Base Guru seems to like it. All right, let's jump into our first topic here. We're just gonna go straight in. Again, we're just gonna play a little off the cuff today. Have some fun time. Meh. Yeah, I knew it was coming. Meh. That's how I feel about this story. Actually, this is a pretty big deal. Ashes of Creation collapses as entire Intrepid Studios team laid off without final pay. What's up, Weekend? Good to see you. This is crazy. So Ashes of Creation is an old school MMORPG dropped in alpha state on Steam after years of development. Alien and Danny Games, hey, thank you so much. All of the distractions. What's up, dude? Thanks for the gifts. All right, Tickfinity, you have done crossed the line this morning. I forgot what the goals were, but thank you so much for that support, Danny Games. Welcome in. Much love. Hope you have a blessed day. Dude, I hope you have a blessed day. Thank you. Thanks for the support over on TikTok. That's awesome. All right. Well, anyway, Ashes of Creation, old school MMORPG that dropped in an alpha state on Steam after years of development, has imploded this weekend. The game has been struck with a total collapse as the team at Intrepid Studios has either resigned or been laid off. It was just 2 days ago that the team at Intrepid was posting updates and promising a roadmap of improvements to the game. In a recent message to the game's Discord server, the company's founder and creative director, Stephen Sheriff, made a damning statement about the situation. He stressed he was forced to resign after control of the company was shifted away from him prompting a walkout that ultimately led to the entire remaining company being laid off. It's almost guaranteed that Ashes of Creation, the ambitious old-school MMORPG that was in development for almost a decade, will disappear forever. In his statement on the Discord server, company founder Steven Sheriff wrote, all right, and this is where it gets interesting. Chaos Mondays, it's great. I can make a limited statement in my personal capacity and not on behalf of the company regarding the situation. Control of the company shifted away from me, and the board began directing actions that I could not ethically agree with or carry out. As a result, I chose to resign in protest rather than lend my name or authority to decisions I could not ethically support. Following my resignation, much of the senior leadership team resigned. Following those departures, the board made the decision to issue WARN Act notices and proceed with a mass layoff. I cannot responsibly speak to further details at this time due to ongoing legal and governance matters. What I can say is that the developers and staff acted in good faith and deserved better than the uncertainty they are now facing. I am incredibly dismayed by the situation. On Steam's community forums, users came forward to declare the situation a pump and dump scam, with some suggesting that class action lawsuits should be sprung up to chase refunds. Yeah, we'll see how that works out. Hey, Brent, good to see you. However, it might be easier said than done. In a video shared on social media, and internal communication was shared explaining that all job titles and all positions would be hit by an entire and permanent plant closing. It was then explained that the expected payroll set to run on February 1st will not happen because of the company's financial position. That is a huge issue, right? Like, hey, not only are you fired, you're not getting your last bit of pay. That means employees under the WARN notice will not be paid, which undoubtedly prompt financial suits. If you load Ashes of Creation Steam page right now, you still have the option to purchase it for $49.99 US. According to SteamDB's aggregate systems, as many as 319,000 people may have purchased Ashes of Creation, which averages out to around 14 million. Those customers who picked up this early access title that has now been dropped just a month after release will be demanding satisfaction and compensation. Popular creator Pirate Software, oh dear, addressed the situation on socials, standing up for the developers somewhat. Responding says, oh, well, it's like a long thing. All right, I guess we could just read it. Maybe. It's not that long. Okay. At the time in development, the game was doing just fine. Stuff was moving forward, and the areas of the game he showed weren't actually flat, featureless environments as he described. It wasn't until the last 6 to 8 months that poop really hit the fan and fell apart. They stopped listening, moderating, and features just went sideways. That's crazy. I didn't realize it had just dropped, right? Like, it apparently it just hit Steam recently. I'm not well versed on MMOs. This is something that the Gaming Roundtable will discuss on Friday, I'm sure. And I'll learn along with you guys what's going on. It's just crazy that an entire game, an entire studio just went under. Just the CEO left and a bunch of people left with it. And now it's just like, oh, nobody's here. We can't do anything. Nothing to see here, literally. Jenkins chose violence. Will, thank you for the sub. 44 months and a 44-month streak. Wow, dude. Thank you so much. That is awesome. Bizarrely, the situation took another turn when eagle-eyed and investigative fans turned up registration information for Intrepid Studios that confirmed Steven Sheriff as the sole board member. This is taken from a filing made on December 30th, 2025, and it lists Sheriff as the CEO and an individual named John Moore as the CFO. Sheriff is the only named director on the board per the document. On social media, users noticed a troubling clause in the game's Kickstarter, which explained that as the game doesn't launch on Steam, full refunds will be issued to all backers. Now guess what? The game launched on Steam, so that promise was effectively fulfilled. Coincidence? Yeah, that's wild. Excuse me. I thought I muted the mic there, and I didn't. But, pardon. Alright, so yeah, this is a huge scam. You guys just got played. I don't know, man. This game really spent that long in development. What happened? How does that even... Like, how does that even happen? How do you start up a company, release a game, take people's money, and just go, oh, shutting down. Nobody's getting paid, and we're keeping all the money. Because obviously stuff was spent on development, at least somewhat. I don't know the state of the game. I don't even know how people feel about the game. All I know is that this was talked about. This is a huge issue. It's a huge story for like the MMO space. I feel like MMOs are in general, especially the MMO RPG specifically, are a dying like trend. Aside from your heavy hitters like World of Warcraft and like Final Fantasy, 11 and 14, those are still running because they will be. I think Guild Wars 2, its revamp helped it, but I think by and large, you've got fewer and fewer people playing MMOs. But I don't know. This is just weird to see. Anyway, all right, let's go to our next thing, which is Highguard had a major update on Friday after we railed on this game on the Gaming Roundtable. Highguard adds a 5v5 raid, which is cool. Apparently they were planning on doing this, or they tested it enough that it was stable to release. But Highguard has added a 5v5 raid mode. Mode's now live, but it will be available for a limited time. Stupid. The mode is experimental, is only playable this weekend. It's a separate playlist and will not replace the 3v3 raids. Lobbies have been updated to allow for parties of 5 for the weekend. Additionally, in this mode, raids are now 10 lives instead of 6. And respawns are slightly longer to allow for generators to be planted or defused. A new base has also been added to Highguard in addition to the new game mode. They've also added the new base Soulwell. Described as a dark relic from a lost age, the new base has been added to the rotation in all game modes. And then, they were talking about major quality of life updates, FOV sliders, and a few other things I think were coming as far as like frame rate improvements and things like that. I think we covered that last week. But yeah, so Highguard, at least they're attempting something new. It's just making it limited is weird. If it proves insanely popular, are they going to get rid of it because it's limited? Because that's what other games tend to do. All right. I don't understand how Highguard launched in the state it's in. And I don't understand people defending it. It's an awkward game. Okay. UK retailer Game is closing its remaining standalone stores after entering administration. So I think administration is essentially bankruptcy, but in British words. I don't have Dan to clarify that. But Dan, if you're in chat, make sense for me. Man, I'm like trying not to cough. But yeah, so I believe the same company that, like, the parent that owns GameStop also owns Game. I'm not sure, but they're essentially the same thing. Game will now operate entirely within Sports Direct and House of Fraser. I don't know what that means. But Game's longtime MD, Nick Aaron, is also leaving the company after nearly 9 years at the retailer. Last week, the historic British video game store filed notice of intention to appoint administrators, putting creditors on alert for the second time in just over a decade. Now, according to the Game Business, the Frasers Group-owned business has decided to close its 3 remaining stores, effectively marking the end of Game as a standalone retail presence. Game's website will continue to trade as usual, and the retailer will continue to operate as concessions within Sports Direct and House of Fraser stores, with over 200 positions currently. Game has been winding down for several years, closing stores as their leases come up, and last year shutting its HQ in Basingstoke in April. In April, it moved most of its staff onto 0-hour contracts before cutting back its management team. Game previously struggled in the 2010s, entering administration in 2012 and closing nearly 300 stores, before it was rescued by Frasers Group in 2019 in a $51.9 million something contract deal. I don't know. The sentence ends there. As a result of the acquisition, Game has in recent years wound down its pre-order business, trade-in programs, and reward schemes. Historically, Game has been one of the UK's most significant retail brands for video games. Founded in 1992, Game grew significantly over the following decades, acquiring Virgin Games, Electronics Boutique, and Game Station. Speaking to GamesIndustry.biz in 2023, Game MD Nick Aaron has denied the chain was turning its back on its games business to focus on other items such as toys. Gaming is our core business and we'll be the last man standing selling physical video games. Well, that's it. They're done. Physical games are done, folks. With game backing down, that's a sign of the times. We see our place in the market as proving that there's a place for physical, whether that be the collector's editions, which we see as the vinyl of video games, or the gifter who doesn't want to wrap up a download code for Christmas. But we need to be realistic. We have a business to run, and the expectation is this will decline, so we need to fill that gap. Yeah, I mean, retail stores are struggling all around, but gaming specifically moving to digital only, and that being the most popular format, it is what it is, right? That's where you are. It's a bummer. You know, it's kind of like when my local GameStop closed, and I still haven't forgiven them. Because that store is empty. It looks like it's already being revamped into something else. Like, somebody's already moving in. You know, odds are it's going to be like a payday loan, predator loan place, or a nail shop, or a vape shop. I hope it's not a vape shop, but you know, those tend to like move in very quick for some reason. That's the kind of town we're in. All right, let's talk about this. Oh, this is interesting. The Switch version of Apex Legends will shut down this summer. Players will have to upgrade to the Switch 2 version to keep their currency, Respawn says. The game originally launched on PS4, Xbox One, and PC in 2019 before being ported to Switch in 2021. Now the Switch version will terminate in a few seasons' time, Respawn has warned, with the start of Season 30, marking the end of the Switch game. Season 29 will be the final update for Apex Legends on Nintendo Switch. Future seasons of Apex Legends will continue to be available on Switch 2. Starting August 4th, 2026, Apex Legends will no longer be playable on the Switch system until August 4th, 2026. Players can continue to jump into the action, earn rewards, and enjoy matches per usual. I mean, this isn't surprising. While the game does support cross-progression on other platforms, this doesn't apply to currency purchased or earned on Switch, which remains exclusive to Nintendo consoles. Items bought on Switch will still cross over to other systems, just not the currency itself. Which is weird. Fortnite does the same thing. Like, Nintendo has something about currency bought on their platform has to like stay on their platform. Although I don't know why it matters if it's already been purchased. Apex Legends will continue to be available on all other supported platforms. As we continue to evolve Apex Legends content and technical foundation, our goal is to deliver high-quality experience. So, I mean, we'll start seeing this more and more as these games get older, if they stick around long enough. Apex will eventually drop the Xbox One and PS4 platforms. Eventually, they'll stop supporting older GPUs. Officially, you know, unofficially, I'm sure they'll still work. But, yeah, older consoles are going to start being dropped from these live service games within, you know, probably 4 or 5 years' time. We're already starting to see it with, like, Genshin Impact and a few other gacha games are dropping older platform support. It's fine. You know, it happens. It's the nature of things. You want to cater to your current generation of hardware. And while the older generation of hardware may still be popular, it's not popular enough. And you want people to move to the newer platforms because the game will look and run better and is the better experience. So, you know, it does make sense. It does make sense. The Switch 1 version of Apex Legends was never really all that fun, with a super low detail and low resolution and weird draw distance. Everything about the experience was weird, but they got it to work, and it worked well enough that people did play it. Gyro aiming was fun. But, yeah, it's cool that you can play it on the Switch 2. But bummer if you only have a Switch 1 and wasn't planning on upgrading. Were you really playing Apex Legends? The player count had to be incredibly low for them to be able to make that decision this quick. You know? I say this quick. I mean, you have, like, 8 months. Well, even less than that. You have about 7 months before it shuts down. So, good luck. I hope you have time to get a Switch 2 if the Switch is your only console. Good luck out there. Alright, other news. Sony has patented a touchscreen PlayStation controller that lets players choose where to put the buttons. Standard controllers aren't comfortable for everyone, Sony says. Yeah, I don't want a touchscreen controller with virtual buttons. Sony's obtained a US patent for a special controller with a touchscreen that lets players choose where the buttons should go. Patent was filed back in February 23, but was issued last week and is described as designs and methods for a game controller. According to the patent's description and accompanying images, the controller would have a large touchscreen covering most of its top surface, where the buttons would usually go. The idea is that players will be able to customize where the D-pad, sticks, or action buttons should be positioned on the controller to best suit their personal taste, accessibility needs, or what best suits each specific game. It appears players can also choose to resize the buttons, or even remove sub-buttons altogether for certain games. In theory, this could mean if a player was playing a simple platform game, they could replace all the buttons with a single large jump button, or if they were playing a game that only required a D-pad or a left stick, they could choose to remove one and make the other larger. Often, controllers adhere to a similar control interface of having a D-pad on one side of the controller and buttons on the other side. One of the drawbacks of existing designs may be the fixed configuration. By way of example, a fixed layout may be too small or too large for a user. Alright, and it just goes on to talk about the patent a little bit. Another drawback of conventional controllers may be the fixed nature of input controls. For example, a controller only has enough space to include D-pad and joystick. Each element is usually located in a different location. Yeah, it's a neat idea. I just do not like touchscreen controls, like, at all. They are not fun. I don't feel like I can engage the same way. Playing games like Pokemon Unite, it's just like I would rather have the controller, or if the game supported a keyboard and mouse, that would also be nice. But I don't understand, the mobile version of Unite still doesn't support Bluetooth controllers, and that's weird, but the Switch version does, and it's like that's the only way you get to play it with a controller. Like, come on now. The touchscreen experience is awful. All right. Well, let's see. I'm going to scroll through and we could talk, but I don't know what else to cover at the moment. Let's see. Looking through. Some mods for the Sega Saturn. Nobody cares about that. The Game Awards are back December 10th, 2026. It's a Thursday. Does anybody care? No? Oh, yeah, it's fine. Did you guys see the social network for AI agents? It's kind of spooky. Haven't been a fan of some of the stuff I've read. It's called Moltbook. It's very odd. This could be interesting. It's just a tweet. I don't think it's a full article, but it's definitely something worth mentioning. Turkey moves to regulate game platforms. Turkey's proposed new regulatory framework for digital game platforms, giving authorities the ability to throttle or restrict access if companies like Steam or Epic fail to comply with upcoming requirements. The rules cover licensing, data handling, and how operational oversight, and could significantly affect how PC gamers in the region access major storefronts. The potential for slowed or limited access raised questions about how these platforms will adapt and what it means for players in Turkey. Quick report breaks down regulations, risks, and how the situation may evolve. Alright, let's scroll through this analysis from Mr. Jez Corden. Oh no, he posted it, but Adam Hales wrote the article. Nice. Turkey is reviewing draft legislation that could force major digital game platforms to open local offices or face severe access restrictions, including bandwidth throttling. Proposed law could change for players. Turkey may soon require digital platforms such as Steam and Epic Store to establish a legal entity or official office within the country. Platforms would also need to appoint a locally based representative responsible for compliance and communication with authorities. As the proposal moves forward, Turkey would grant enforcement powers to the Information and Communication Technologies Authority, including the ability to throttle platform bandwidth by up to 90%. At that level, download speeds would be so restricted that the access to games would become effectively unusable. Weird. So they have to have an office if they want to keep operating. And I guess that makes sense. You need somebody in your region who can be held accountable for issues, or at least communicate to a parent company instead of it all being remote and it all being like, what's the word I'm looking for? It just feels like, even now, like with how things are set up, like if I have an issue on YouTube, it's very hard to reach a person, right? You have to go through so many hoops, and you might, if you're not partnered, good luck even getting to a person, right? Like that, it's unlikely unless you tag social media and have a big enough following or know somebody who can amplify your complaint on social media as it is. And I imagine this is like a curb to that, right? There's somebody locally who can be answerable to local complaints. So it may not be a bad thing. It does look kind of questionable. I didn't read that article. Let's see, bring Cortana back. I kind of agree on the surface. But before we move on from Turkey and the legislation, I don't know. It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. Let's see. I'm gonna pull this up this way, guys. I'm just kind of looking through what else we're looking at. Oh man. Dragon Quest VII reviews are coming through. The original Alone in the Dark trilogy on PC is currently free to claim and keep on GOG. Good Old Games is such a good service. Alright, Mario Galaxy amiibos are out April 2nd. $35. They're massive. Amiibo prices have gone up a lot. Now they have gotten bigger, but they're also more expensive, and I'm not sure I want that. I avoided the Metroid Prime 4 amiibo for much of the same reason. They look cool, but they're expensive. I don't want to pay that much for some static figurines that are just sitting on a shelf, occasionally tapped into a game I'm playing, you know? It's just odd. They've gone up. Okay, I'm just kind of scrolling this list. Neo 3 might be hitting PC and other platforms. Hey, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds blast past 1 million copies sold. Sega's expecting another 1 million within this fiscal year. I would like to get a copy. I haven't picked one up yet. Marvel not running a Super Bowl ad is kind of odd. The touchscreen controller. Yeah, we saw that. This is my game news list on X, and it's mostly like not gaming stuff. And then it's all the repetitive stuff. I don't know. Odd. What is going on in this picture? Frankenstein RTX 5070 Ti with a hole in it just set world record benchmark score. It's the most cursed looking graphics card I've ever seen. It does look awful. Arknight's Infield developers reveal cause of unauthorized PayPal payment problem for roughly $80,000 was charged community wide. Looks like I avoided a big problem by not playing that game. COD Players has revived the 2021 version of Warzone featuring the original Verdansk map. The fan-made classic Warzone even includes full online matchmaking. That's actually really cool because that's when a lot of Warzone players agree Warzone was like really good. That first season, I think it's nostalgia. That first season was a lot of fun because it was new and unknown. And as they keep adding things, it gets more and more further from what you remember being fun, but you also learned more. I'm just scrolling through these things. Oh man, there's like some stuff. Unity stock dropped after that Google Project Genie that we looked at last week rolled out. That's weird. Why would you think AI could handle making video games after what we saw? Project Genie showed some weird stuff, but it was in no way like playable games. It was just a 3D walking simulator generator. Yeah, I'm glad I switched this because it's some racy stuff. Alright, Games Radar. Nintendo does what 90s Nintendo could only dream of, sell out of the Virtual Boy. The Switch Virtual Boy has done what the original Virtual Boy could never by shifting enough copies to sell out somewhere. Once Nintendo brought some GameCube nostalgia to the Switch, the question of which console to come to Switch Online was a hot topic. Wii, DS, and 3DS feel somewhat limited due to technical needs, and most Wii U games are basically already on Switch, so where could Nintendo conceivably go next? And September 25 Direct, we got our answer, when instead of teaming up with Sega again for a Saturn or Dreamcast NSO, Nintendo announced its 1995 failure, the Virtual Boy. Despite the prevailing feeling of who would want that, it turns out the allure of the console's two good games, Virtual Boy Wario Land and Jack Bros, was enough of a draw. Perhaps as the novelty of having access to a cancelled F-Zero spinoff, Zero Racers, and Fire Emblem developer Intelligent Systems' cancelled adventure game, Dragon Hopper, now D-Hopper. Notably, over in the UK, where the Virtual Boy was never actually released, the accessory is still in stock at a still ridiculous but less obnoxious £67, and so is its cardboard variant. So it sold out? Hold on, I want to go look. Yep. Hopefully I'm still logged in. I feel like I should be. Okay. Shop. Is it exclusives? You know, I haven't looked at these rewards. That's nice. Holographic poster set. Is that a dock skin? It looks like a Switch 2 dock skin. Dang, sold out. Alright. That's wild. Why would that sell out? I wanted to get one, but I was waiting until after, like, Valentine's Day. I know, like, my wife didn't buy it for me. I want to make sure I could buy stuff for her for Valentine's Day. And make that clear. I don't expect anyone to buy this junk for me. I buy this junk for me. I'm surprised it sold out, though. I want to pick one up. That's crazy. Did the cardboard version also go? The cardboard also sold out, guys. How is that possible? What is going on? The Virtual Boy is in demand. That is crazy. Oh, whoops. Well, we'll do it that way. Okay, hold on. I want to know. What is Daniel Rubino over at Windows Central talking about? Hot take. Windows 11's new AI push feels incomplete because Microsoft ditched the one assistant that actually had a personality. Bring Cortana back and let her cook. Alright, before we jump into this, I will say, when I had a Windows phone and it had Cortana baked in, it was extremely useful. It was more impressive at the time than Siri, which wasn't hard to do, and still not hard to do. Siri is still, by and large, a very useless platform assistant. However, Google Assistant also wasn't very good at the time and did some very basic things, and those were limited. And now, like, you know, you have Gemini kind of baked into the phone OS as well, doing a lot of things, a lot more things than it ever did before, especially when Windows Phone was still relevant. I don't know that it was ever relevant, but it was available. We want Clippy. No, you want Clippy. I don't want Clippy. That dude's annoying. However, what I miss about like the way Cortana worked is if I was driving, Cortana knew my phone was connected to the car because I designated the car Bluetooth as a car in the phone. So when I was driving and I got a text message, Cortana would come over the speaker and be like, hey, do you want me to read this message? Yes. Read the message. And then I could reply to it. And Siri does it if you have AirPods in. Like, specifically AirPods. Maybe the Beats headphones, too, because those are, like, technically Apple first-party accessories. But that feature alone made all of that really worth it. And then I could use it to, you know, set reminders and such. And I did all of that. But I really missed the driving, like, text notifications and being able to respond. Especially when I was driving by myself, I was able to, you know, text somebody without having to mess with my phone or make a phone call. Because God knows, I don't know anyone. I don't want to make a phone call. I would rather text. Just text me. Don't come to my house. Just text me. That's all we want to do is text message back and forth. So what does this say? Hey, Microsoft, it's time to loosen the collar a bit. Bring back Cortana. Bring Cortana back into the room. Not as full Copilot replacement and not as some grand rebrand, but as an optional persona for your AI agent. I'd be fine with that. A little fan service never hurt anyone, and frankly, Windows could use a bit more personality these days. Cortana was one of the few moments where Microsoft actually let itself be fun. She wasn't just an assistant. She was a wink to Halo fans and a nod to Windows Phone loyalists, and a rare example of Microsoft showing that it understood its own culture. Then Windows Phone died, and Cortana was treated like a character written out of a TV show because the writers got bored. One day she was there, the next she was pivoted to productivity, which is corporate speak for we ghosted her. I actually agree with this take though. Like if I have to use AI in my thing, let me at least pick a good personality for it, right? Like I would be good with that. Let's see, what else happened over the weekend? We talked about that already. Don't need that. I don't know what's going on there. IGN talks about a lot of things that aren't video games, and it's weird to me. Central Leaks is posting stuff. A 392-year-old Greenland shark in the Arctic Ocean has been wandering the ocean since 1627. Wild. High likelihood PS6 will launch after 2028, according to new analyst forecast. Yeah, probably. All this not game news showing up in my game news list. I don't know what's going on here. Again, it's a lot of stuff happening that isn't related to gaming. Nintendo posted Samus. That's it. That's the post. Yeah, not bad. "21 years after release, Gears of War 1 just got an Iron Man mode inspired by a venerable community-driven challenge." I don't know what that is. Mario Galaxy movie is expected to have an ad during next Sunday's Super Bowl. Cool. Kind of scrolling these lists. You know, it was just the weekend. We just talked about stuff on Friday. The biggest thing was Friday afternoon. Ashes of Creation just was like, nope, we're done. sports over the weekend. Let's see. Oh, first PlayStation 5 system update of 2026 dropped. Let's see what happens there. And then that may be it for today. First PlayStation 5 system update of 2026 adds read receipts and more. Just give me a list. Patch notes. You can now jump directly from the Friends activity widget in your Welcome Hub to the games your friends are playing. You can now turn on read receipts, show other players when you've read their messages. Sounds bad for some very attention hungry people. Did you read my message? Did you read it yet? I know you haven't read it yet. Improve the messages and usability on some screens. Improve system software performance and stability. Let's see, made some security fixes to the online software. Alright, well, there you have it. They updated the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5 in 2026. I'm sure they'll keep doing that and adding some other features. Alright, well that's it for today's news show. I've got to get to work and such. It was a fun time. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope y'all enjoyed. I'm sorry it was a little off the cuff today, but that might be the thing for me to get this done reasonably and not always be late. I was late today, but that was my own doing. I was just dragging this morning. Anyway, all right, well, y'all have a good day, and I will catch y'all later. I guess we'll find somebody to raid on Twitch and then leave. Let's go back to just chatting while we're hanging out here. Adi, what's up? Good to see you. Alright, well, I don't know. Let's send it to be my mod. Nah, we're good. Tell you what, I'm not gonna worry about it. Y'all have a great day. Love ya. Catch you later.